Okay, on today's podcast, we have someone who sits right at the centre of the biggest transformation triathlon has ever seen. A leader who has been instrumental in reshaping the sport's global structure, governance and future direction.
Yes, joining us today, Antonio Arimany, President of World Triathlon and Vice President of the Court of Arbitration for Sport, one of the most influential governing bodies in global sport. This is a man who spent years navigating through performance, politics, athlete welfare, and sporting integrity. Now, today, he will be helping guide triathlon into a completely new era through the launch of the Triathlon World Tour. Antonio, welcome to the Unfunded Podcast, and thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me here, and thank you guys for this opportunity to explain what we are doing.
Cool, and it's I guess it's obviously a very big opportunity for us. Like we like to think that we're just two young Aussie boys that we're not really making too much of an impact, but it's really cool to have someone of your level in World Triathlon here today and come talk to us. So again, we thank you very much for the opportunity. We'll start off. What attracted you to being in the role of President of World Triathlon? How has this all come about where you're sitting here in front of us today?
Well, in life, sometimes things happen, and when you're not looking for something, it was not in my plans 4 years ago to become the president, but within the circumstances coming towards the elections, and when my predecessor, Marisol Casado, was finishing, then a big number of national federations around the world asked me to run, and at the end they convinced me, and here I am. And I told them, look, if I become president, is to do things differently, to do changes, and to look and present a program, not just to hold a position.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the biggest changes that's come through as president in only very much a short time since 2024 that you came into presidency, and probably the biggest news in recent days or weeks, is the ASOIF A1 classification of World Triathlon. So that's pretty huge. Can you run us through maybe what this categorization means? Many people probably don't understand what this means, but it's quite large for the whole sport of triathlon.
Yes, correct. The ASOIF, which is the Association of Summer Olympic International Federations, every year and a half they do a review of our governance rules, structure, operations. And in this occasion, we have been able to jump into the first group, which is reflecting how we're doing things and how transparent, democratic are in this organization. And this is key for me. I just really believe in transparency and good governance. And this is something very important that we implemented around the whole sport. And this is a very result, a very good result, and that this reflects the work that we are doing.
Yeah, and I believe that this is the first time that the World Triathlon governing body has been in the A1 classification. Is that right?
Correct. This is the first time. We have been growing through the years, but this is the first time we jump into the first group with the big federations. And of course, you have to consider also that we are the second one in the group when you compare our resources, our budget, our number of employees, because as big as your organization, it's easier to do more things. But in that sense, we're very proud that we become second with the size of our international federation compared to the others.
Yeah, for sure. And for those people that don't know other associations that are in this A1 classification, we have the likes of UCI, World Athletics, FIFA. Like there are some very, very big organizations in this. What do you I guess believe might have been some of the changes internally in World Triathlon and in the governing body that over the years has got us into this position to be in the A1 classification?
I think what it has been highlighted in this report is our transparency. We are really transparent with how we allocate revenues to our continental confederation and to our national federations, how we work, how is the information about the contracts with them, how is the information about our national federations and the information we provide. Imagine that today in our website you can find the financial statements not only of World Triathlon, but also from any of our members, our national federations. You can find it there. So this is transparency. We are here to show what we are doing and transparency. Also, democratic, our rules and how we took it, decisions are really key. And also how we solve conflicts in the organization, I think, is important. And also they reflected as a strong election rules that was mentioned also within the report. So there are things always you have to improve, and then we are working on seeing, because we are doing something that is not reflected there, which is a safeguarding a strong policy now that has really implemented very recently. And for example, we're working with the Laureus Foundation today, and one of the 2 Olympic federations that we're working in a project for women's participation and safeguarding also all around our sport. So this is key aspects that we are working on, and we take really seriously these kind of rules and regulation and situations to avoid and to guarantee that our sport is safe, is secure, and we are proactive on doing these things.
That's well said.
Yeah, well done.
So with this A1 classification, what opportunities does it bring to the sport moving forward, or the organisation as a whole?
This, what it brings is a trust in the organization. The ones that we are on day one reflects that we are doing well in terms of good governance. And this, what it reflects to any kind of partner, to our members, is trust in the organization, how things are working on. And of course, from the IOC. This is very important in a moment when the IOC is reviewing the Olympic program for the Brisbane 2032 Olympic Games. So this is absolutely key for us on that sense, because it reflects that we are doing things according to the rules and policies of the International Olympic Committee also.
Yeah, so it's definitely great recognition for World Triathlon and the work that you've done over the last couple of years. One of the next biggest things that you've been a changer of is the collaboration of World Triathlon and the PTO partnership. Could you maybe run us through how that went through, and potentially like what's the biggest goal with the partnership?
Okay, this is key. When I arrived to the presidency, the first thing we did is we asked for an independent report about how we were in terms of commercialization of the sport. And we asked Deloitte to do a report, an independent report about how do they see not only World Triathlon, how do they see the sport of triathlon. And on that report, it came out that we were really fragmented. There were a lot of organizations, and triathlon is different to other sports. International Federation, we do not have the monopoly of organizing the events in the sport, as in most of the sport, I would say. So because of that reality, that we have a lot of private organizers, and we saw Ironman Challenge, PTO, Super League, many, and organizers of the sport of triathlon. We did this analysis, and the conclusions were something that we knew, and then we saw we are fragmented. So we need to create a strong product to see if we can sell it better and allow the sport to grow for the benefit of the athletes, our national federations, and the sport worldwide. So then we start the conversations. I start conversation with the main private equity funds in London and in the world, trying to see how we can attract their capital to make this change. And everyone was coming to the same conclusion. You are very fragmented. Mm-hmm. We don't know where we should invest. Shall we invest in World Triathlon? Shall we invest in PTO? Shall we invest in Challenge? Shall we invest in Ironman? The conclusion at the end of the main key players in the sport world is where we don't invest in triathlon, because we don't know where is going to be the best way. So then we started working how we can create this product that is more unified and create something different. And within the conversation with PTO, we reach a good understanding of the situation. And then we decided, okay, we need to create this new product that could provide us the opportunity to grow. And that's why we created the Triathlon World Tour. And of course, it takes time. And that's why even we started discussions and the negotiations during the last years. The last year at the end, we decided, okay, we need time. We need time to finalize an agreement that we are very close to finalize. And we decided to do it properly, and that's why we launched it for 2027. And yes, PTO had the T100 that we already recognized as a new world championship last year. And we have the World Triathlon Championship Series, which is the Olympic event. And then also we have had conversations with Super League on the short distance and trying to create. So this is the first phase of this Triathlon World Tour. And this is the reason why we partner in the best interest of both organizations. But at the end, it's the best interest for the athletes. We need to create a bigger product and grow this sport. And if I may, I can summarize what do we really want to achieve. Today, triathlon is a sport that is very well known by the triathlon fans, by the people who is really on the sport. But we need to move this sport to be popular and to be attractive for the people who are not triathletes, for the general and the common sport fans. So we want to put this sport at the level of tennis, golf, on that level. Of course, we will need some years to do this, but this is our goal, and we think we can make it happen. How we can make it happen? By creating an attractive television product and by creating an important framework in which we are strong, where we are strong on the mass participation. On the mass participation, the sport world today is not moving only on watching. People, we want to take part, we want to be active. And on that, we have a great advantage. And also, we realize that triathlon is a global sport. Some other sports, they are very focused on certain continent or certain countries. Triathlon is everywhere, it's global. All around the globe, within the 5 continents, we have triathlon and good triathletes. So we have the base to build up this sport, to grow, and to make it something different. And this is what we are working on with the partnership with PTO, and the collaboration with them is great. And then, and we have to do, of course, we have to understand also in which areas we are strong and in which areas we are weaker. And for sure, we are not a commercial marketing expert organization. This is not our strength. Our strength is to organize events, to create the rules, to officiate, and to run within the Olympic movement. But we were not that strong on marketing. And they are strong on marketing, commercialization, and that part. So that's what it was very easy to get into an agreement. You do this part, we do this part, and then let's collaborate together. And this is the whole thing what we are trying to do, creating this Triathlon World Tour. And as I said, this is the first step. And of course, other organizations are welcome to join, because we want to create the world's biggest and triathlon sport and event package that we can sell it to the biggest sponsors, to the TV broadcasters, and to be able to be seen by everyone.
Perfect. So I guess like what I took from that is, for World Triathlon and PTO coming together, the main goal for you guys is to limit fragmentation within the sport. So would I be maybe a bit out there saying we would love to, 10 years in the future, we would love to have Ironman a part of this collaboration. We would love to have Super League. We would love, is there a possibility where we see every organization coming together under one flag, under one banner, working together, being able to commercialize the sport as much as possible? Because we ourselves have had the same conversation. Unfortunately, we have about 10 different world champions in the sport of triathlon, from Ironman, 70.3, T100, Super League, Challenge, and the WTCS series. very spread out, and we definitely agree with you. It is very hard to commercialize such a big sport and such a fragmented sport. Is that the goal in the next sort of 10 plus years? Like you said, we understand it will take time. However, are we looking to try and get as many sporting organizations under this PTO banner to grow? World Triathlon PTO, sorry.
Yes, this is why we created the Triathlon World Tour. The name of PTO is not there. It's Triathlon World Tour. And within this Triathlon World Tour from next year, there will be 2 World Championships. What we will call the T50 World Championship, which is the Olympic distance, hour, and the T100. 2 World Championships within one big tour. If we compare to some others, if motorsport, motorbikes, when you have the MotoGP and then you see that there are 3 World Championships within the same commercialization structure. On a Grand Prix of motorbikes, you see 3 World Championships, 3 races, and this is. It's a similar idea. We will have different World Championships within the Triathlon World Tour. Like in athletics, you have different distance, 100 meters, 1.5K, 5,000, all these. And of course, but the idea is to group all these distances and allocate the different World Championship within one big triathlon tour, which will be commercialized on a unified way. And this is for the elite. And because there are 2 parts, the commercialization and the elite part. And of course, there is room always for Ironman on long distance. There is room also for the Super League on the short distance. And this is a matter of reaching agreements. And that's why us as the governing body, because as being non-for-profit, and we can make that possibility happen. But of course, first is we need to put it in place. We have had conversations with these 2 organizations, and they know what we are doing. We are, as I said at the beginning, transparent with everyone. And the door will be always open for everyone to join the Triathlon World Tour and to commercialize together and created a bigger product on this.
Yeah, no, and that sounds very exciting. Like we said, it's definitely a problem that I think we've noticed, and we applaud you for probably acknowledging one of the biggest problems within the sport from the business side of things, and yes, working to eliminate it. So can I just confirm, with the partnership with the PTO and World Triathlon will essentially, and I know it's not going to be as clear cut as I'm about to make it seem. However, World Triathlon will be more in charge of event operation, putting on the events around the world, and the PTO will essentially be more so in charge of commercialization, marketing of these events. And I understand it's not going to be as clear cut as that. However, they're the strengths and weaknesses. They're the strengths of, I guess, both organizations.
Not exactly. World Triathlon, what we will do is we'll be the regulator, the governing body, where we'll be the ones who put the rules, we'll be the ones who officiate. In terms of putting the events in place, we have different local organizing committees around the world that will remain involved. And in others, PTO will run the events. And we will always be there helping how to put events from a rule perspective, technical operations. But we do not have the capacity to operate events directly from World Triathlon. We never did that in the past.
Yeah.
We always rely on local organizing committees, and this will remain the same. Our role will be more the calendar, to be sure everything is put correctly, the rules, the officiating, and the anti-doping. All this part is what we will do from World Triathlon. And PTO will do the commercialization on a broader sense, from the broadcasting to the sponsors, to the social media. And also, they will be also involved in the operational because of the model they are creating within our events, because this we discuss about the elite part, but the events now are going to become a big festival of a sport. And that's why we want to attract a big number of participants in together with the elite races. So on that side, the PTO is also involved on that operations. And us, we will be helping and assisting them to happen on the best way for everyone who participates on these events.
Yeah, and I think the mass participation is such a big part of triathlon. That's why it's such an inclusive sport. Like everyone can be on the course at the same time at a lot of events. So could you explain the World Tour structure from top to bottom? So at the moment, we're obviously a short course focused podcast. That's where we race at the moment and we're athletes, skin in the game. So we obviously already have the WTCS, the World Cups, and then the Continental Cups. I know that now we've rebranded, or you guys have rebranded to the T50 and then the Challenger Series. Can you let us know how that structure would work? Is it exactly the same structure that it is now? And will Conti Cups still be around? Will that still be a thing?
Of course, the structure will be pretty similar from a sport point of view. We're changing the name. Why? Because we want to commercialize it better. Because as you can imagine, WTCS is impossible to commercialize. So that's why we moved to T50 to commercialize together with the T100 and that. And as you said, it will be the T50 Championships, which is what is today the World Triathlon Championship Series as part of the World Championship. And then the second level, the World Cups. This is what we are discussing. It will be the T50 Challenger, T50 World Cup Challenger. This is what is the discussion now about this. And of course, below has to have the World Cups, the Continental Cups, because this is very important in the grassroots of the sport. And the pyramid structure, we want to keep it, and this is how an athlete can start, and the rankings will remain similar. The only new thing about rankings is that we will create a ranking for age groups, but that will take part on that. But from the elite point of view, we will have the same structure of the sport. We are not changing that part because this is thinking. But having said that, we are discussing with the Continental and using the opportunity that we are putting in place the Triathlon World Tour, if it requires a change on that part and how we located the Continental Championship, the Continental Cups. But I can guarantee that it will remain existing because the Continental Cups is a key event for the development of the sport for any athlete. And every athlete starts at national level, then Continental Cups, then to the World Cups, and then the goal is to reach to the World Championship. So the structure of the sport, it will not change. And of course, if it changes, to see if we can improve it and make it easier for the athletes.
Yeah, that's great clarification over those topics, especially rankings with points, and that may be more of an athlete kind of topic who are in racing these races. So with this is I've seen that you've published that there'll be around 100 events annually. What would the structure be for the T50 Championship and then the Challenge Contender Series? Would that be very similar to how many events are running at the moment for WTCS and World Cup? So I think there's about 10 World Series races this year, and then I think there was published 20 World Cups. Would that be very similar?
Correct. Then we will have 10 events on the top, and between 20-25 second-tier events, that is approximately 35, 40, and then the T100 will be that. To reach the number of 100, then we'll have to add the Continental Championship, another 5 on our side. Then we are close to 40. So this is what is the discussion having, and that's why we said it's around 100 events, because on the T100 there will be another 50 events. So this is how it is structured to happen.
Yeah, that's good. So, and I guess one of the main objectives of coming together with, and it was one of the things that we talked about this year, was clashes of events and athletes having to decide whether between the T100 and the World Series, which was a massive talking point. Is that, implementation plan that these these two events won't be on the same weekend, and that we can have potentially the best athletes that now athletes are racing between both distances, that they can race both the T100 and the T50, like the simultaneous calendar?
Yeah, the idea is not to have on the same weekend a T100 and a T50. This is clear. It's not that easy because some venues, they have strong dates and it's not that easy. But yes, that's the goal, is to have not two class in the same weekend. The way is that we will have 20 weekends a year with the highest level of events. And this will guarantee us a much more TV exposure. Of course, as you know, we think athletes, they can do both, yes, because it doesn't count. You don't need to do all events. You have to, it counts 4 or 5 plus the finals. So that's how it will remain exactly similar, because we understand athletes could get injured and also they can decide which events they prefer to go. But the idea is this: of course, we want the top athletes to be in all the events, at least on each of the World Championship, but it will remain the same structure as it is today in both the T50 and the T100. The main difference for the athletes on the T50 will be that the prize money of the events will be raised to the level of the T100. So this will be make more attractive the T50, put it at the same level, because we have to be equal, and that was part of the negotiation with the PTO.
Yeah, wow. Okay, that's very impressive. And I think the financial side of the T100 was 100%, I think, an attraction for athletes to go off and race to the T100. And I guess that almost answers my next question that I was going to say. How, as I guess for us short course fans, we love the Olympic distance, we love the sprint distance, and we have seen, for example, in Paris, our 3 male medalists, Hayden Wilde, Alex Yee, Leo Berger, we have not seen them on a lot of start lists this year. Is there in the last sort of 2 years since Paris, is there, I guess, any implementations on your side into the World Triathlon racing that might stop athletes from venturing off to, go and run marathons or go and do long distance to keep them in our short course sport and hopefully have, year-round racing of the highest quality of athletes on the start line?
Correct. This is something that we've seen, and of course every athlete is free to decide what to do, but that's one of the reasons that we want to increase the prize money, to make this series of events more attractive for them, and be sure that within triathlon they can have a way of living that is going to be as good as if they go to other disciplines or sports. Because it's not only the increase of the prize money. With the project that we have, we will increase the exposure, the TV broadcasting, and the popularity of the events. So their sponsors will be more interested on having them racing in our events. This is the whole idea, and to be sure that we can have them in our sport for the seasons, for every seasons, and until they decide to move to long distance. With age, normally the normal pathway is that athletes move to long distance, and then they can move to the T100, and then they can go to long distance if this is what they really want to achieve. But yes, for sure, the whole idea is to create a bigger and much more popular events that will guarantee a higher exposure. And it's not only for us, it's for them, because if they are more popular, the sponsors will pay them more, the prize money is bigger, their popularity is bigger, their federations, their countries will be more interested in having them competing in these circuits. And now that we started the Olympic qualification, we see everyone coming back, but we want them to remain in the sport also on the year after the Olympic Games.
Yeah, exactly. And that, like I said, that was one of probably the key things that we had noticed in the year following the Olympics is there is so much variety of racing out there, and our athletes are so talented they're able to go out and almost do whatever they want. With the increase in prize money at the T50, like you said, it will match the T100. Is that going to have an effect then on the Challenger Series and the continental races? Will that then increase at those levels as well? Will that start to trickle down and have the same effect, or is it just for the T50?
For the moment, for next year will be the T50 Championship, but we are analyzing for the long term and after the Olympic qualification finish to implement an increase on the second tier of events and try to have a bigger attraction also on the second tier. But for next year, we'll do it only for the top events, and the others will remain with the same prize money structure as it is for this year. Of course, there are some events that exceptionally they want to pay more prize money, but they will be very specific exceptions.
Okay. Going back maybe to the start of this year, and it's the viewership around triathlon. We saw that Triathlon Live at the start of this year was free for a couple of World Cups, and then we also just saw in Alghero that it was also free. Will the short course racing still be behind a paywall, unlike the T100, or will it all be free to air as a product?
Well, this is a very good point, and this is one of the discussions because, as you know, T100 is for free, and the World Challenge Championship Series is behind the paywall on the main events. And of course, we did these promotions, and in Alghero we did this. What we are is analyzing the situation and understanding is the best way to promote the sport. And these conversations are happening not only with the PTO, it's happening with Infront, because Infront is holding our rights of TV, and they are involved. We have a contract with Infront till 2028, so we need to involve them. And this is the discussions that are happening these days, actually, with Infront, PTO, and us, to understand which one is the best way to go from January next year, and which one will be the best way. And for sure, it doesn't make sense to have T100 open, T50
closed
in a pay-per-view basis. So we have to unify these things. But this is the discussion we're having now at this moment, and this is something that it has to come to unify in the same way.
Yep. Okay. So that's a TBC for next year. But do we have any more throughout this year that may be free to air?
For the moment, no, because we are coming to the key part of the season.
Yep.
But we never know if one event we want to promote it. Of course, I'll get up. But the cost is not really. I think one event cost, if I'm not wrong, $3 US.
Yeah.
So it's not a really barrier in the triathlon world to watch an event, and the whole season it costs 30. I think so. It's not crazy amount, but as I said, is under analysis and under revision, all this.
Yes, and for I guess fans like Lleyton and myself, we will happily pay that fee to watch the race. I believe it is probably more targeted towards potentially casual fans who might be trying to get into watching triathlon more. I know, I would say Lleyton and myself probably have friends and family that would potentially watch if it was on a free to air. However, yeah, maybe the being behind a paywall and having to pay, I think that can be a little bit of a I guess a hindrance for some people getting on. It's exciting to hear that that's potentially going to be in the process of being removed, but completely understand. I believe and it kind of needs to be commented on. I believe World Triathlon have put quite a bit of time and effort into enhancing the production of the World Triathlon Championship Series. We've brought on Belinda and Will as commentators, who are doing a great job in commentary. The production of cameras on the ground, making sure that people who are viewing don't miss anything. Is that something that is still going to be a priority in the coming years, trying to enhance that production as much as possible?
Absolutely. This is something that we are working now and also defining with the PTO how we can improve and offer a better quality on the TV broadcasting and also on the graphic side, and provide more information during the races about what is happening. But going back to that, today the structure is that the internet TV rights is with Triathlon Live, but Infront is selling the linear TV rights to the regular TV broadcasters. And the goal is that normally every race is, from a local point of view, is watched in a regular TV. We know that this has not been working out the way that we were looking with that, because there are not many regular TV linear channels that they show our events live. And that's why at the end, Triathlon Live become more popular. But this is something that is also under analysis with now today on the way we can show the sport. But the quality, the graphics, how to follow the races is key. We need to improve, and today the technology is giving us a lot of opportunities to all the sports, and also to reduce the cost, but also to show our sport in a better way.
No, that's super exciting, and obviously, Lleyton and myself, we're all the way over here in Australia. So to be able to watch the racing going on over in Europe and other countries, it's very exciting for us. I think another aspect of this partnership, and you touched on age groupers. We've touched on the elite athletes. I think the next one that we just want to talk about is paratriathlon, and how paratriathlon is going to be potentially included. How is paratriathlon, I guess, going to be part of this partnership? Is it the same way as the elites, or will they have their own separate part to play in this partnership?
Yes, paratriathlon is key for us, and it's key for World Triathlon. At this moment, what we can guarantee is that the events that today have a paratriathlon event together with the World Triathlon Championship Series and the T50 will remain exactly like that. And this is something that we have told PTO, like Yokohama, like Abu Dhabi. They have a paratriathlon event that will remain. The final will always have the Paratriathlon World Championship included together with the other, because we want this to be inclusive. At this moment, and we really think is this new model works, it will be beneficial for everyone. And as it has happened today with our World Triathlon Championship Series, we cannot force anyone to organize a paratriathlon event. Yeah. So this will remain exactly the same. But the difference is that if this new product and this new way of commercializing the sport is going to work, we will have more resources, and we will invest these resources in paratriathlon too. So this is, but we need to be, because I know there is a lot of questions about para and everyone wants, and let's jump in the same way. We have to be a little bit patient, and being us able to make it profitable this, because today, at the moment, we are in the investment phase with the PTO. And once we make it profitable and this in the coming years, be sure that paratriathlon. And this will also give us an opportunity, because since PTO will dedicate the efforts to commercialize our events, we will have more resources that we will dedicate it to paratriathlon and finding. And there are projects that we have for paratriathlon we are in the goal to create a higher development program. And in this sense, we will develop the paratriathlon events and the sport, because paratriathlon really needs to be developed wider and higher on that sense, at least until we can make it commercially valuable.
Yeah. I guess with the infancy of the collaboration and the World Tour, you can't really predict too far ahead. But obviously, if the World Tour grows to such a massive rate, everything from the ground up is going to grow. So something I guess that's started in Australia is the payment of para-athletes. Is that something that will potentially come in next year or in a couple of years for the para-athletes? I know that Australia is now offering medal, I guess, incentives and payments for athletes that medal at these World Para Championship races. Would that be something that's given by World Triathlon in the future?
We did that something in the test event for Paris. We start doing this. For the moment, one of the key things that we need to be sure is that we strengthen our position within the Paralympic Games. One of the requirements of the Paralympic Games is a number of countries that we have inside the Paralympic Games. This is our biggest priority, to be sure that we keep our presence within the Paralympic program. And one of the requirements is you need 30 countries, 30 people coming into the Paralympic Games. This is key because we can have very strong countries in paratriathlon, but if we don't reach the 30, we could put in risk our participation in the Paralympic Games. So this is our first priority for us, to be sure that we are not in risk. And this is why we are working with strong development programs to help these small nations or athletes from poor countries to be able to go to events, to be able to do the classification, which is the key thing that we need to guarantee now. Because we can offer prize money, but if we lose our presence there, this is not a good direction. So this is what we are trying. Also, we are trying to increase the TV broadcasting of the para events, because then it will become more popular. And we are investing resources there. Today in World Triathlon, actually we invest Olympic money into in the paratriathlon. And this is what we are doing. And that's why we want to be sure that when we introduce the prize money, we cannot introduce the prize money in a different way that is in triathlon, as we have to do it the same way. And who pays the prize money of triathlon events? The organizers. When we have asked the organizers, are you prepared to pay prize money to the athletes? For the moment, they are not ready. So we need to grow the exposure of the sport, that for the organizers, this is more attractive. And we have to be on this pathway to guarantee that part, and we are working on that. And as I said, if the Triathlon World Tour is successful and we will have more resources to invest in paratriathlon and be sure that we can start growing the sport of paratriathlon, and then for sure the organizers and us will be able to include and to produce the prize money for the paratriathletes, that for sure they deserve it as much as the triathletes deserve it. But we need to make it sustainable, not that we ask prize money for paratriathlon and an organizer said, okay, in that conditions I cannot organize the event. And then we start losing, because for the moment we don't have that big number of events on paratriathlon, and this is what we're working on more.
Yeah, so obviously investment in the whole sphere of paratriathlon before, and building that solid foundation before then potentially rewarding the top elites of paratriathlon, which is, I guess, you have to build the base first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Moving on from paratriathlon, and it's obviously a massive boom at the moment. It's exploded globally. It's HYROX. Lockie's done a HYROX event, so he's a hybrid rock star.
Not successfully.
Not successfully. So
you finish it successful.
Yeah, thank you.
How did the partnership and World Triathlon and HYROX come about? Because it is a massive boom of a sport, and it is a multi-sport, just like triathlon. So I feel as if it is a great fit.
Yes, was a conversation with the owners of HYROX, this company who put in place these events and who created this massive new discipline. And in conversations with them, we found that common interest is like we can help you on 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 helping you to grow sustainable for the future in terms of officiating regulation. There are a lot of comments about officiating there because it's and you have done one is subjective if you do the different workouts properly, or you have to repeat it, or you have to do this. So we can help them on that. We can start introducing them in the sport world. Today, HYROX is more a leisure sport activity that without an organized event structure. And this is what we can bring it to them also with the aspiration to be one day inside the Olympic Games. That is, it could help. But this is, again, is a massive mass participation event, and it's massive. The numbers they are getting is amazing. And this is a way for us, for World Triathlon and our national federations to engage with these new athletes and to engage with them with this new sport movement. And this is something that we have to be dealing with this in a different way that we're dealing with triathlon, because people who compete on a HYROX, they want things simple. Is when you enter a 5K run in any place in the world, you don't want to have a license, medical check, and all these things. If it is complicated, look, I'm not interested anymore. So we have to reach and to see how we can engage with this, guaranteeing that again, the events we want that the events are safe, fair, and clean. And this is what we can bring to this new discipline. And of course, we are in conversations with them, the possibility of doing this new event. We created the name of the sport called Triathlon, and this is something that which is hybrid racing. So it's something that we need to do, and HYROX is a type of those events, and this is what we have to keep growing on that.
Yeah, and it is obviously a very exciting collaboration between HYROX and World Triathlon. Having done one myself, it is very tough, and the boom, like Lleyton said, the boom within the HYROX world is quite phenomenal. So is essentially what one of the goals with HYROX becoming a multi-sport or becoming part of the World Triathlon family. Are we going to see more of an elite, I guess, global championships similar to the structure of what is currently the World Triathlon Championship Series or a World Cup racing? Are we in any way looking at essentially separating the age groups from the elites, having clear racing, clear competition structures similar to what we have in triathlon?
Yes, they actually have the elite tour, but this is one of the goals, is to make it, because if we want to be part of the Olympic Games, we have to strengthen that part. On the mass participation, they are amazing, and then this is something clear. But on the elite part, we need to strengthen that part to make it more popular, to be seen on TV, and this is the part that we can work with them with the goal of being part of the Olympic Games, and also for us to engage. Of course, the mass participation and the new way how the sport world is moving in our societies is something important also for us to be engaged with these strong sport movements. And this is what is also new for us, to be engaging with all these new age group participants that before World Triathlon or ITU were never involved on mass participation events, but now we have seen that if we want to be really engaged with the sport and the sport movement today in our society, we need to be part of that, because this is our sport too, and we are the governing body of the sport, not only of the elite sport. And this is what is another transformation we are doing within World Triathlon, to be the governing body also in the mass participation, and to help these private organizers to do it better, and where we can provide our expertise to help them on doing that.
No, that's very cool. In getting HYROX to the Olympics, I know you've stated a couple things that potentially needs to take place. First, what are the key, for those that might not know what they are, what are the key changes that needs to be made for, let's say, HYROX to be a part of Los Angeles 2028 Olympics? What are some of the key changes? Or Brisbane 32?
In Los Angeles, the program is closed, so we are working.
Oh, sorry, Brisbane 32.
So there's a discussion with the IOC, and the thing is that to get into the Olympic program, you have to come through an international federation that is recognized by the International Olympic Committee. And that's why we can be the pathway to get in for HYROX and into the Olympic Games. But first, we need to create our event. We have to show the IOC this is attractive. Our goal and my goal is we want to put new events in the Olympic program. We have to show the IOC that it has valued these new events. And that includes the T100 also that we are requesting to be part of the Brisbane Games. But they have to bring value to the Olympic program. And that's why we have to show to the IOC that HYROX as a new discipline and T100 is a new gold medal event in the sport of triathlon, bring value. Because otherwise we compete with the other sport in equal conditions. And I want to have a different approach, which is we propose events that they have commercial value.
Yeah, I guess, commercial value, and for an Olympics which is built upon massive commercial value is such a structure, and T100 going into the Olympics. So back to potentially T100, as you mentioned, getting a T100 event, a long course event into the Olympics. Would that work through, at the moment, T100's an invitational event, and it's the top 20 athletes in the world that are invited to an event, unlike the World Triathlon Series, which is nominated by your national federations. Will we see the T100 change to a national federation standpoint like the Olympic pathway, or will it stay potentially as, I guess, free agents of, like the athletes are free agents that can race the T100?
It will be based on, it will not change, the T100 will remain as it is for the athletes and different. The athletes, they are entered by the national federations, but they do not compete in the national uniform.
Yeah.
This is the main difference. But of course, step by step, we'll be moving by ranking. And of course, if you want to be part of the Olympic Games, you have to qualify. And you qualify competing. As I always said, we have to do our homework first before we want to be in the Olympic program.
Yeah.
Cannot work the other way around, that the IOC come and rescue the sport. And this is, with the revision the IOC is doing of the new program, this is not going to work as it worked in the past. So that's why we want to be sure that we are able to offer something. We are very lucky that the next Olympic Games in 32 is in Brisbane and in the Gold Coast, which is a triathlon. It's a home of the triathlon. It's one of the key locations for triathlon worldwide.
Yeah.
And the city and Queensland government are really engaged with triathlon, and we have a T100 event in the Gold Coast. So this is great for us, and it's a great support. And if we work all together, I'm pretty positive if together as Queensland government and the Gold Coast, we work for having T100, I think we have good chances to succeed, but that's depending on the IOC, not only on us.
Yes, and obviously the T100 that went ahead this year, the women's race on the Gold Coast, seemed very successful. We saw some of the best athletes in the world getting around on the Gold Coast, which was very exciting for all of us who live on the Gold Coast. Lleyton and I are on the Gold Coast ourselves, and it was very, very special to have a triathlon race of that level racing in our backyard. Having the T100 potentially in the Olympic Games, does that open doors for, I would say that it wouldn't be happening potentially in Brisbane 32, as I would say you would have your hands full with the T100 itself, but potentially those shorter distances, like we said before, Super League had a very big boom in the past. Is there a potential for even shorter distances like that being in an Olympic Games in the future?
Long term, why not? But as I said, our strategy is to show to the IOC that the events that we are proposing have something to contribute to the Olympic program and in terms. So as I said, we do have to do our homework first in home. And with the new Triathlon World Tour, with the T100 already included, we are in a step ahead on the other distances because there is going to be a big investment on this part, and this is going to help to grow this discipline. And that's why I said at the beginning, in the Triathlon World Tour, the shorter distance is welcome also to add a new World Championship title there. And but we need to build the event that we are proposing to the IOC to be part of the Olympic program. And as I said, having a T100 in the Gold Coast, which is the venue of triathlon for the Brisbane 32 Games, is a plus, and is that. And for the moment, we don't have a Super League event in the Gold Coast or in Brisbane, and that's why things are moving natural more at this moment for the T100 and for the shorter distance.
Yeah, and obviously it would be a very big ask to bring on two new distances into the Olympic Games in what is less than 8 years away. This is I guess not potentially my opinion, but just a thought on having now multiple distances within, and that is if this goes ahead, having multiple distances within the sport of triathlon at the Olympics. Do you think that might potentially dilute the quality within the Olympic distance? Say we have a Hayden Wild and a Leo Berger going and racing a T100 and solely focusing on the T100, that then potentially takes two very big hitters out of the T50 distance. Is that a potential problem that we might see?
I don't think so. Our presence in the Olympic Games is not that big. If you compare us with aquatics, with athletics, with the numerous distance and athletes that they are able to win 2 medals, the 100 meters, the 200 meters, for example, the 5,000, the 10,000. So we don't think so. Our presence in the Olympic Games is not that big that we can dilute one from the other. I think it will be the opposite. One will complement the other. And this is a bigger opportunity for the athletes to be more famous. And of course, both. The one is the Olympic distance, and the other one will be more the T100 distance. And this is something that is going to be, because what is important is that it will not be the PTO distance. It's the T100 distance or the T50 distance.
Yeah.
This is the movement we are doing on the sport.
Yeah.
So is how we're going to show it. But I think it will help us. Actually, I think our T50 World Championship will grow, and being today in the Olympic Games and being in Los Angeles, it will grow their importance. And if we commercialize better together with the PTO, it will help us to grow these events more in popularity than any other distance.
Yeah. Finally, a bit of a hot topic that's gone around from the latest WTCS event was Alghero. And we just want to get maybe your take on it. Was the moment, and it was probably the most talked about moment of the race, was the moment between Jean Leher and Lisa Tersch with throwing of the water bottle. What would come out of that if that event may occur again? Like, is that something that maybe the committee, has a chat with an athlete, or what would happen over if this potentially comes a regular occurrence in events?
Well, I don't think this is going to happen again. I think our athletes, they behave properly in all races, and of course we saw how big that went on the social media, and for sure we don't think this is the way the sport should go. But what we think is, I'm sure the athletes they will talk each other, and they will act in the field of play accordingly to how they have done it, because these athletes, they have been competing among each other for the last years. So it's not that they are new and this is something new that happened. And we think this is something very isolated situation or incident, and we don't think this will happen again.
Yeah, we agree as well. Like, we don't think that that's ever going to happen. It's not really a sport where anything like that happens often. Maybe if we just wrap up with a couple of quick fire questions, just short fire. What's your first answer off the top of your dome? So what is your favourite race on the calendar so far?
Not an easy question. I will say always the final is something very special because of how many athletes and what we created there, because it's a big, with 5,000 age groupers coming to the final, the paratriathlon, the juniors, the under 23. For me, always the final event is the favorite of the year. Is always key. On the regular basis, I like the races that have been for us, like Hamburg, I would say, or Yokohama could be very strong races for me. Now also Abu Dhabi is becoming traditional, but I would say Hamburg, Yokohama are very special events in our calendar.
Yes, I think we would tend to agree. We're very big fan favourites of the ones that are all year round. That are every year. The Yokohama, Hamburg. They've got a bit of history within the sport now. What do you think is one city in the world that deserves a race on the World Tour?
Well, I think there are plenty of cities in this sense.
It's a tricky one.
And if would like to have for sure the Gold Coast or Sydney in part of the
good answer
of the World Tour. So this is two cities I would say that, and we will be there because the Olympics are happening in the Gold Coast for sure, and for sure Sydney. I think being the race that when we started our Olympic history, it deserves to have a triathlon event.
Okay, who is the most exciting athlete leading into LA, male and female? Who's the most exciting?
That's a very difficult question because only to reach one, I think I can always mention. I think Cassandra is on the female side is Cassandra Beth at the ones that we can see today, and on the male side. Of course, Alex G. Hayden. And of course, I want to mention one from my country, David Cantero. Hopefully he will be able to perform well. But of course, our Max, our world champion.
Yeah, you can't forget the Aussie.
We were waiting for it.
For sure. He's our world champion. He's an extraordinary athlete, and with Alex and Hayden, the three favorites. But I hope David will jump onto this group also soon.
Yes, no doubt. David has been he's been very impressive over the coming years. What is the biggest, and this might be a bit of a tricky one, but what is the biggest challenge facing the sport of triathlon right now? We'll stick with short course triathlon, just so that it's not too large. But yes, what is the biggest challenge facing short course triathlon right now?
I think we do not have biggest challenge. We have huge opportunities in front of us. With the new partnership with the PTO and the creation of the Triathlon World Tour, what we have in front of us is a huge opportunity. And I don't see it as a challenge. I see it as a big opportunity, and we have to all try to make it happen and to succeed on that. And that's how I see the short and the Olympic distance and the sprint distance future, because I see that now that we have been able to reach with the commercial partners and the commercial people that are in the sport, we have a huge opportunity to grow.
Yeah. Our next one was, and our final one, where do you believe the sport is in 10 years? So 2036, where's the
I
sport?
would like to
What's
see
the big vision?
triathlon as is golf today or tennis today.
Okay, so one of the real majors, a real iconic sport. Well, I think that wraps up our interview with you, Antonio. It's been a pleasure to have you on. We're quite honoured as just two athletes from Australia that have a podcast to get the president of World Triathlon on. So yeah, we appreciate your time, and we look forward to seeing, you know, the World Tour next year and everything you're doing with World Triathlon and making it a better place for not only people watching the sport but athletes ourselves. So we thank you for that.
Thank you very much, both, and anytime you want, we can catch up again.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you for having a podcast for triathlon. This is great. And thank you for helping the sport to be more popular.
That's what it's all about, isn't it?
And we're doing our best. We're doing our best.
Have a crack.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Thank you.